If you followed the news for 2012, one of the biggest stories was what was very quickly dubbed the Clico affair. And while a lot of the names and personalities we had known from before, one name came up that had you going, but who is June Fowler? June Fowler is one of my personalities of the year, and we're going to meet her right now. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Carol.
And who is June Fowler?
I like to say in a nutshell, June Fowler is a sinner saved by grace, called to do a particular purpose, whatever that purpose is. And as I go through life, tend to see little bits of what I do coming together. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I love people. Love people.
It's so easy to add labels
Yeah.
to persons in the news. She's an activist. Are you an activist?
No.
Did you think 5-6 years ago that this is what you would be doing and this is the cause that you would be advancing?
No, Carol. Not at all. And I smile when people say that, because some in my office, they call me Justice June. And, and I'm thinking, but why y'all behaving like this? Because even in writing the letter on January the 17th to the nation, I never saw what is happening now. Never saw it.
Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? Let's go back. Let me get all up in your business now.
I grew up in Watts Village, St. George.
Okay.
Went to school at South District Girls first, and then we moved to Haggett Hall, and then to Prime Primary, and from Prime Primary we went to Spring Memorial.
Okay. What were your thoughts then of 10, 20 years down the road? This is where I want to be, this is what I want to do.
Actually, I wanted to be a teacher. But then when I recognized the trouble that we gave the teachers,
you dissuaded yourself?
Yes. I thought, there's no way I could do this. I don't think that I have the patience to do this. And, you know, when I finished school, my father said, don't let her stay home. Don't let her stay home. Send her to do shorthand and typing.
Ah, those were the days, huh?
Yes. And I thought, well, I mean, I did it, because I went from the 5A to lower 5A to 5 commercial. And I thought, well, I'm not so much interested in the history and geography, but I like the typing, and I like that I can type really fast and not look at the keyboard, and I kind of had a passion for it. So by the time I had 1 year in the commercial farm, and by the time I finished that, I had covered all 3 levels, basic, intermediate, and advanced. So I went on then after school to learn the shorthand, and a beautiful old lady in, I can't remember her name now, in Country Road, she taught me. And my first job, Carol, was at Harriman Barbados Limited.
I remember Harriman. Wow.
$350 a month.
That's a lot of money. you probably thought you had won bingo at those days.
I was happy because, I mean, you know, you just coming out of school in October, had graduation in October, and here I am in December. I actually went to work on December the 19th. 19th, can you remember, Carol? 1975.
Wow.
I went to work. And it was great. It was good to have your own money, and but you know, deductions were coming out. You had Confederation life insurance coverage. You had, I think it was pension at the time, and the NIS. So I think I took home like $275.
Still a lot of money.
It was.
That's I remember those salaries and hearing about those salaries. What were you passionate about then?
I was passionate even then about helping people. I used to be in the Red Cross, I used to be in the 4-H Club, and always volunteering in something at church, would be involved in the choir. And
so you were going to church even then?
Yeah. I mean, we had to. My mother, it was the Full Net Moravian Church. Then when we moved to Haggett Hall, it was the Moravian Church. It was the Nazarene Church. And then St. Barnabas Anglican Church is where we ended up. So it was always to help somebody do something. And my grandparents lived next door, so I used to be there a lot, helping to, in the summer I used to go with him. My grandfather was a speculator, so I would go with him when he's going to dig the potatoes and the yams. We'd go early in the morning down to St. Andrew, and when we come back, the slip was high on the cart. So I would be perched on top of the slips. I mean, I was like, used to call me flying twine.
This is a cart?
Yes.
A donkey cart?
Horse. He had a
horse and buggy, yeah.
And I would be on top of the slips, coming home with him. And we get off, and he'd take the slips off, and he used to sell the potatoes through Belleville. And sell the potatoes, and then we get home, and I used to eat potatoes raw.
Yeah.
Wash the dirt off and eat the raw potatoes. It was fun.
Were you aware then of the divides in the society? That there were people who probably had less than you, but there were other people who had so much more than you, and that the color of your skin could make a difference? Where you got a job, where you lived, and how people, you know, interacted with you?
Oh yeah, because one of the things that had bugged me for a while, because you know I had passed the first part and failed the second part.
Of the common entrance.
Yes,
Yeah.
And it was I think my parents thinking was she should go to St. Michael's. So when you didn't get that and you went to spring, it was almost like, oh boy, she failed. And it was like a step down. So for a while you had this chip on your shoulder. Well, you know, you're really no good because you went to spring.
Because she only went to spring.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But you recognize it, and the whole thing was to go to school, get a job, and at that time it was you had to get a job at Cape Shepherd, in the bank, or Harrison's, where you can be a clerk. And that was the thinking. So you saw the divide. We used to, at vacation time sometimes, we would get clothes from the church. And I remember having to go down to the Civic and get the old hard Harvard Hill shoes to wear to school. So and even though we had that, I mean, my mother was a woman who worked at everything, and she could make anything. And she had a sewing machine, so she did our clothing. She even made a clutch bag for me to take to church. So we didn't suffer in terms of having real hard times in poverty, but you saw it.
You didn't need, but there were things that you wanted or wished you had.
Yes.
That you knew there was no way.
Yes.
Yeah, you were going to get them, but you were happy.
Yes.
And what made you happy?
With 8 of us.
8 of you.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
Three
Lots
girls,
of brothers and sisters.
Three
huh?
girls and 5 boys, and there was so much playtime because we had behind our home we had a cane field, and there was nothing like mashing trash. There was nothing like we had mango trees, there was coconut trees, there was the golden apple trees. So there was the time of summertime was like really good at night. We go and we suck the cane. And then we would go on the steps and we would lay down and jerk to hear the cane juice in your stomach. Yeah. So, and you know, we had those kind of days. We did the roller thing where you would ride down the neighborhood with the roller and make fun. So we really had a lot of fun within ourselves because where we were living in Haggett Hall only had 6 houses. I think we were the only household with small kids. So it was fun.
Did you have the days of going for water and all of that as well?
Oh, yeah. Before I go to school, I had to take out the sheep, and I used to ride the
Little you, June.
I used to ride the ram sheep. I used to ride the ram sheep because he was big, right? And me, you have to go and take him out, and so you had to do that. You had to make sure the fowls were fed, and then you go and you get ready for school. And when we got to Haggett Hall, we had water.
Running water in the house.
Yeah, but we didn't have electricity. So we had the home sweet home, the lampshades.
The lampshades with the wicks.
Yes. We didn't have, I think we got electricity in the 70s in our area.
When you look back on these days, how have they formed the June Fowler of the 21st century?
I think it made me more grateful for the things that I have, more appreciative of how we were raised, and watching to see how my parents were always industrious. I mean, they always worked. And I think if my mother wasn't 75 now, she would still be working. But seeing the work ethic, and for me it always was, when I grow up, I must work, and I must get 8 Eclipse biscuits, because we only got 4. And Carol, that was, I had to have 8 Eclipse biscuits, and I have to buy as many snow cones as I could, because snow cones used to be shared as well.
Yeah.
So that was always the
because it was 8 of you.
Yeah. So it was always, and I'm telling you, those were the 2 things. I must have 8 Eclipse biscuits, not 4, and I must have a whole snow cone, and I must work to get that. What a goal, right?
No, but you see, what you are sharing brings back memories. I don't come from a large family. It was just my brother and I. But my grandmother raised us, so it was like, at one point it was like 8 or 10 grandchildren, and you always have that. As soon as I spend in my own money, as soon as I begin to work, my thing was sweet too. I'm gonna buy all the old Henrys, and I'm gonna eat all, because now you're independent.
Yes.
You're independent, and you don't want to share.
Yeah.
Was there a part of you even then that wanted to assist, to serve, to listen to people and their challenges, and try to see how best you can help?
I can't remember.
Or were you just young, so it is cinema, go to work, clothes?
It was work, party, work, party, work.
Party.
Sleep, party. Work. And you know, but at Harriman you had to work Saturdays. So you hardly had any off days. So by the time, and we had such a cohesive group at Harriman. It was like a family. And so we would, and at the time we would have to call them like house parties. We would go to somebody's house after work, and we would cook food and spend the whole afternoon there and have drinks, and then you go home sometimes midnight. And then, you know, you have Sunday, and you go and you start the week over again, and we had some really good times. Long weekends, we would rent beach houses, and we would just go and have a good time.
So what happened with this letter? Let's come all the way up. You got married, and you have children, and all the rest, and you switched jobs, and you know, you said you were a sinner. You said what?
Sinner saved by grace.
A sinner saved by grace. Explain that. Explain that. A sinner saved by grace. What do you mean?
Because, you know, when you look at when I look back on my life, how I was then and now, sometimes I don't recognize the June. I'm thinking, is this really me? But you hear people say, you know, you've changed so much, or you've seen the change, even within my household. My husband say, yeah, you know, June have changed. And you see the change, and you recognize that things, you know, that there's a song, you said, the things I used to do, I don't do anymore. The things, that places I used to go, I don't go anymore. But recognizing that we're all flawed human beings. We still make mistakes, whether saved or unsaved, but recognizing that because of the grace of God, that I have another day to say I repent, or I have another day to say, Lord, forgive me because I've messed up.
And,
so,
and you are saved.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And you know within your heart that you are saved, you are transformed, you are a new creation in Christ, because you walk that experience and you feel it and you know it.
The letter. What happened?
Anger.
You know your face has changed completely. You know that.
Yeah,
I see it. You took up a totally different stance.
Yeah.
Militant now.
Yeah. It was, you know, 2 years had gone by, and I was sitting at my desk, and all of a sudden...
2 years had gone by since...
Since the news broke.
Right, the collapse of Clico.
Yeah.
Right.
And
stop. I'm going to stop you there. How did you hear that Clico had collapsed?
In 2008, coming on to the end, because this is when I got my pension, I'd gotten a bonus, and the thing is, you know, I called the agent, and I said, you know, I want to start a pension plan, and I'm going to start it with $5,000.
And this was your first time doing business with the company? Okay, you know, I thought you were a long-standing...
No.
Okay.
I had known him. I'm sorry. I had a similar plan a couple years earlier, and I had cashed that in.
Right.
And I thought, well, you know, I'm getting old, I need to get a pension plan going.
Some investment.
Yeah. And I said, you know, I need to start a pension, and I'm going to start it with $5,000. He came over, got the check, and around the ending of December, we were hearing some rumblings in Trinidad. And on December the 31st, Carol, he came to my house, and he said, I bring the document for you to sign. I said, well, you know, I don't know if I should sign this, because I'm hearing some things in the news. And he said, well, no, it doesn't affect Barbados. It has nothing to do with this. I said, are you sure? And I hemmed and hawed for maybe an hour. You know, I gave him a plus, and we had a malt, and we were at the kitchen table talking. He said, I'm still not sure that I should sign this. And he said, no, Miss Fowler, this has nothing to do with us. You know, we're safe, we're separate from them, and the whole spiel. And still not having the peace about it, I still sign.
Are you one of those people who says, I really need to follow my own mind?
Yes.
When I follow my mind, I'm never wrong?
Yes. Yes. And I signed, and I thought, okay. And I went to work, and you know, I did the letter to the company saying that, you know, every month to have $200
your salary
deducted from the
deduction,
salary.
yes.
Yeah. And that kept on going and going, and then until January 2011. I thought 2009, 2010, Prime Minister said, you know, don't run on the company, don't take your money out, you know, company's well managed, so you know it's going to work. So I figured, well, I'll continue doing my salary deductions and everything.
Yes.
And then just one day, I my girlfriend called it righteous indignation. I was sitting at my desk and I felt this anger. I'm saying, why are we being treated like this? Why is it that nobody is telling us anything? And I'm continuing to pay my premium. My agent stopped calling. I used to get a birthday call, a Christmas call, no calls.
Did you call him?
No, no. I just sat, and as the words came, I typed the letter. And I went and I faxed it to the Nation, the Advocate, and Barbados Today. And that was it. And even in the letter, because for me it wasn't a big thing. It was just, you know, I want my money back. You know, I don't know about the others, but I want my money back.
No political intention, nothing of the sort. You want your money back.
Yeah, because I felt, you know what, I work, I'm trying to accumulate a pension. And I even called the supervisor of the insurance office to find out, is there any way that you guys can get my money from CLICO and transfer it to Sagicor? I would just continue paying my pension. Yeah. You know, I don't need
because
to have
your intention is to secure your investment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to do this, and they told me no, the legislation does not provide for that. I just have to wait it out. And I thought, there's something wrong with this equation.
Did you discuss it with anyone? Did you discuss it with your husband, you know, like, dear, I'm just like so angry?
He knew when the letter appeared in the, actually, one of his friends called and said, wow, I see your wife got a letter into this paper. And
you're still married, right?
Yes. So actually, Saturday will be 33 years.
Fabulous. Congrats.
Thanks. And he said, do you have something in this paper? I said, oh, they brought it? Because I had sent it like since, I think, the Monday or the Tuesday, and I hadn't seen anything, so I figured, oh, well, maybe the Nation didn't think it was as important to bring, and it came in this Sunday, and I thought, oh, my. And then it just spiraled.
Let's stop and talk about this spiral, Mrs. Fowler. Because at that point, you were one person, one extremely righteously indignant person who wanted your 5,000 plus back. But how did you begin to hear the stories of others who felt hard done by as well? Let's start there.
Apparently others saw the letter.
Well, clearly it's in the Sunday Sun.
And people started calling the Nation to get my contact information. They started calling my husband's office. So I keep getting these emails. June called this person. June called this person. The Nation would call me and say, Ms. Fowler, you need to call this person. These people are trying to get in contact with you. And I would call them back, and then they started to hear these stories, and people started talking. And then in my first letter, I said that I will continue to write until I got my money back. So the following week, I sent another letter. And then the network got wide, and then the Nation did the interview with the big interview. What
were some of the stories that you were hearing about how badly people were hurting?
There was one lady that I always remember her. She'd worked for a number of years, and she'd gotten, I think it was $160,000 as her payout. And she put it into CLICO. She had a small business, and it started to, to fail, and she needed money.
Cash.
Yeah. And she went to even get a part of her money. She couldn't get a part of it at all. She couldn't get anything. And it had things that it matured. It wasn't like she was trying to break the policy. It had matured, and she couldn't get any of it. And she struggled, and she struggled, and she was working. It was so bad. She closed the business, and she had to go and take a job that was paying her $8 an hour. This is a woman that was in a management position before, worked for over 30-something years at one of the older companies, now so I think it was a BSNT. And she said, Ms. Fowler, I'm working for $8 an hour. I'm taking crap from my employer, and I cannot get my $160,000. And she was suicidal, and she had a son living in Canada. And I told her, talk to your son. Maybe you can get away for a while, leave Barbados, cool your head, and make sure you secure all your policies and so on, and maybe take a break. And she would call me every once in a while, anything yet, what is happening? And then I got a long email from her saying she's in Canada. She's left. She can't take it here anymore. And I assume she's still there because I haven't heard from her.
Now, all of these people are calling you and burdening you with their trials and travails. It's so easy to say, look, you see me, all I want is my money back. We're not going to fend for myself. Start writing letters to the Nation. Yeah. But you didn't do that.
I couldn't, because a lot of the people were elderly people. And the calls that you were getting, Carol, was like, Ms. Fowler, I'm struggling. I have medical issues. And all you were hearing is that my policy has matured, or my spouse has died, and there's a benefit, there's a death benefit, and I can't claim that death benefit. There's an old gentleman, and he's such a gracious old gentleman, and he says, I have worked digging trenches for over 40 years, and every month I will put aside a bit, and now I can't get my money. So these were the stories you were hearing, and it was such a burden to carry. But, you know, there's a burden bearer. So when they come to me, I will offload them. And I have a real good prayer support network in my church and in my women's group. And so as the burdens come, I would offload them.
I'm going to ask you this question again. Did you discuss this part with your husband?
No.
33 years, right?
Yeah.
33 years. But seriously, did you talk to anyone and say, look, this may be getting, you know, a bit more than I had anticipated, you know, or did you just focus and just kept going forward?
No, there were actually, out of all the calls, there were 2 people. And actually, they're still with me today. I called them what I call my Aaron. And they said, June, let's meet. And we actually had lunch on the West Coast, and we sat and we chatted. And we felt that that we needed to we needed to get the other policyholders involved and have a group. And I said, but you know, this all I did was to send a letter. I don't know that I want to get into all this thing about having an association. And from that meeting, we decided that we needed to get legal advice. We needed to speak to someone who can help us to help to explain all that is happening. And I got a call then from Doug Skeet. And he said he's been monitoring this CLICO thing for a number of years, and he wanted to talk with me. And he came and he explained a lot about what had happened and looking at the financial statements of CLICO and what they had not done, and helped to explain the statutory fund and this kind of thing.
I'm going to ask you this question twice. I'll ask you this question now, and I'll repeat it again. Did anyone at this point in time say to you, but you know this is an investment? If you were investing this money in the stock market had crashed, there would have been no recourse. This is a risk. So therefore, your money is just gone. You just move on.
I think it was said about the EFPA policyholders. These were the executive flexible premiums. I said mine is a pension. And it was said, you know, people were called stupid, they were called greedy. You took a risk. But my thinking is, if you have an insurance policy now, then you're taking a risk as well. If I've been paying my insurance, because one of the things that the focus was on 800 people. You're talking about, in CLICO, they 25,000, and there are only 800 that had AFPAs. All the others were pension holders and regular life policies, and people have policies for mortgages and so on. So then we're all stupid. We're all greedy. We're all foolish. Now, if I took $500,000 from First Caribbean, and I hear CLICO have a offering of 15%, then I'm really going after the 15%. But if I have my little 5,000 and I want to start my pension plan, and every month I'm paying $200, where's the greed in that? Where's the greed in that? Or I'm now retired, and I've gotten my gratuity of say $200,000, and my company sit with all of us who are retiring or who've been made redundant, bring the people in from CLICO, and say, you know, we want to talk to these guys. These are the financial advisors. This is where you can put your money, and you know, because some people come out young, 40 in the early 50s, and they still can work. So what do you do with your investment? So some of the companies invited these guys in. They sat with them, put their money in the EFPAs. This is the return you will get, and nobody got me 15%. I think the highest people got, Carol, was like 8%. And so one guy said to me, Ms. Fowler, my money left Barclays in the UK and went straight to CLICO. I didn't even see the check, because you know, they were counseled, they were told how to invest, where to put their money, how the money was going to be safe, and this is what they did. So for anybody now taking out a pension plan or an annuity plan, you really should be careful. You really should ask a lot of questions and determine whether you should put your money on the mattress or whether you should put it.
And what have you discovered are some of those questions that you should be asking?
Some of the questions would be to get the financial information of the company, find out from the Supervisor of Insurance Office, well, now the FFC, is this company meeting the statutory fund? Is this company filing financial statements on a regular basis? Who are the auditors? Are they making profit? If they're making profit, you know, what is that profit margin? what are the investments? Are they heavily invested in real estate? Are they invested in government paper? Are they invested overseas? So these are the kind of questions you need to ask.
You really have got an education
Yes.
out of this simple letter.
Yes.
I don't think you will ever write a letter on impulse again, will
No.
you? So then you were encouraged to meet.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was unreal. It was real anxious because I didn't know who would turn up, if any people at all would turn up. And Alvin Jimma at Divi said, Junel, I'll give you the room for 2 hours for $200. And the other two guys that met with me, we put together the $200, and we paid for the rental of the room. And I think that evening it was 96 people turned up.
Wow. What did you do?
Well, I had, prior to that, Doug Skeet, so I said, Doug, you have to come because I don't know anything about this insurance industry, so you need to come and talk. And then I was told to call Hal Gollop. He's a lawyer that knows the area, so call him. And we called and at the last minute he said yes, he would come. So he came and he spoke. I explained, what we were doing to find out, to get a feel from the group if they were willing to organize, because Hal Gollop said to us, 2 things you need to do. You need to organize and organize quickly, and you need to be registered as a not-for-profit. And that is something that I would always remember. He said, we need to do these 2 things quickly. And then Doug himself explained all about the statutory fund, the insurance industry, and what CLICO was doing and what they should have done and did not do. So we got a good lesson that evening.
Was there a lot of anger at that meeting?
Yes. People were angry because, again, the agents seemed to have disappeared. They weren't hearing them. People were going to the company, and the executives weren't seeing them. They were going, they were calling. One lady said she went with a bottle of water, a book, and an apple, and she would sit all the time. And she decided I was going to wait because she was retired. I didn't care if they told me to wait for 4 hours, but she had to see them. And she would go, she would talk to them, they would give a promise, and she would leave, and she would go back every week. So people were angry that put their money aside and know. I think what made people really angry is that they were discarded. They were almost like cast aside. And here you are, all you did was to do what you were told, invest for your future, invest for your old age, and this is what has happened.
Now, you left that meeting and you went home. Were you saying to yourself, okay, we have to organize, this is what we're going to do, and this is how far we're going to take it? Or were you still at that point, Mrs. Fowler, taking it one day at a time?
I went home and driving home, I said, Lord, what have I got myself into? I said, oh my God, help me. Because when I saw some of the people at the meeting,
And the pain.
Not only the pain, but who they were, I said, these are important people.
Little June.
Yes, exactly. And I said, Lord, I don't know that I can do this. I don't know that I have the capacity to be leading these people. But they're all looking to me. So I said, as they look to me, I'm going to look to you because I don't know that I can do this. And I went home and I shared with my husband all that had happened. Yes. He said, how the meeting went, how it went. And, he was always like, go for it. And he said, he had a name for me. Call me the advocate.
Yeah.
He said, the activist. He said, the activist. Are you going to be the activist? I said, I don't know, no activist. I just want my money back. And from there, then we started to seek out, an attorney and to start to do the legal thing because if you want to get funds and have a bank account and do all that, you had to have a registered nonprofit entity. And it just went, and it went on, and I thought, oh my God, this is not stopping, is it?
Eventually, because of media coverage, and we tend to do that, we people in the media, it became June Fowler and BIPA against CLICO and the government.
Yeah.
Y'all are big and bad. We want our money back or nothing. Yeah. Was that your intention?
No, because again, and I got so many labels, because it is like you are trying to bring the government down, and you're trying. And I said, if Sampucci and the deputy know it's the government, we're going after them.
I want my money.
Because my thing, Carol, is that if there's something that you want and you see it and you go after it and you get it, you got to take what comes with it. And if you've gone after the government, you're going after change, you're telling the population, we're all about change, and you get it, you got to take what comes with it. So CLICO comes with it, our Barak comes with it, all these other things come with it. So you got to deal with it. You are the administration of the day. And if you have said to us, your money is safe, you know, don't worry about it. The company is well managed. But you're hearing one thing, but you're seeing something else. And so we say, no. It ain't about this. It's about we have to go after who is responsible. And then we recognize the failure of the Office of the Supervisor of Insurance. And when we recognize that, this is then when we stepped up the pressure to say, hey, this department, this office comes under the government. This is an entity that is supposed to regulate and monitor and make sure that these kind of things does not happen. And why are we allowing this to happen? Or why have we allowed this to happen? But the company not submitted financial statements since 2007. And you are managing assets of over 800 million? How does that happen? It should not have happened at all.
Did it get personal where people then began to assign labels to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you must be a D, you must be a B, you must be a this.
Oh, yeah.
And you are a this.
Yeah, I mean, I was called that. I said I'm part of the party. And I never carry a card member for any party. Yeah, I heard that I member the party. There was
this would be the Barbados Labour Party.
Yeah. And I think there was one senator who even said in the Senate, she didn't say outright, but it is what was said, that, I mean, and you're no fool, you know what is being said. But you know what was amazing? That it didn't affect me.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it was the grace. It is being shielded when you recognize, because it was only in it after the first year you recognize, you know what, June, this is an assignment that you've been called to do. And once you recognize that, then it's almost like you're in a cocoon. So even though things are being said and people are going to say stuff, it didn't penetrate the shell, because you knew who you were serving, you knew the purpose, and you knew the agenda. And once the assignment is over, Carol, I go back. Well, hopefully.
But let me tell you, you will never go back. You will never go back.
Go back to my quiet life.
You will try to assume that position, but you will never go back. Did the glare of the media highlighted the situation and gave you an avenue to reach people, but did it also in any way detract from your true intention and mission?
I think maybe for people, but not for me, because for me, I kept the focus. It was not going to change. The message was still the same. We wanted our money back. Some people felt, well, you know, oh, don't mind Miss Fowler, you know, she's just making noise. Why, you know, hatred confirmers and nobody make no noise. Why you want the government to pay? But what people weren't understanding was the paperwork. I mean, we finally got the paperwork. And again, it was the 12% of your population you're treating this way. So,
when someone is going to say to you, but treat in what way? You didn't invest with me, the government. You invested with the company. The company isn't a government-run or government-owned company. Why should the government give you back your money? The government didn't take your money.
But the government set up a committee that included the judicial manager, the governor of the central bank, minister of finance, and some others. And they were having their meetings, and they talked. No, we don't want information to be malicious, because we've had meetings that the media don't know about. We've had meetings where information was shared, but the media, because there's not everything that you will share. Because if I come and sit with you and you say, well, we're going to share this with you, but you want to keep it confidential because of what is happening now.
Right.
You're not going to go there and blab about it. Exactly. Because in the end, the policyholders must benefit. The policyholders are paramount. So whatever we do, whatever we say, is for the policyholders.
Right. Suppose you don't get your money back.
No. There's no supposing.
You're kidding me, right?
I'm serious, Carol. There is no supposing.
I'm going to come back, and I'm going to ask you that question again. I'm going to repeat it now. You bought a policy, you bought a product from a financial institution, albeit that subsequently was assessed and found not to be, you know, sticking true to rules and regulations. But at the end of the day, you did not have a contract with me, the government. You had a contract with this company. This company has folded. There is no money. So, full stop. It ends here. Do you accept that?
No. No. Again, if the regulator who falls under the government had done its job, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
All right, and I'm coming at you again. All right, so we the government, accept that there was tardiness, sloppiness, mismanagement in this department. We are going to put steps in place to ensure it doesn't happen again. But I don't owe you any money. Full stop, closure, move on.
It has to be made right. There too many people have been affected. Too many people. This has touched government departments, the police force, legal fraternity, the schools. It has touched practically maybe every family. There's somebody in a family or somebody who knows somebody who's been affected. This has touched many people, and it's just not Barbados. It's the OECS, because Barbados was the main company for the branches in the OECS. What do we say to our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, Carol? How do we continue business with them as a government? How do you trade with these guys when there's this grave injustice? It's like the elephant in the room. How do we deal with other issues when the elephant is still in the room?
I'm going to come at you again. I just do not have the money to pay you back. I mean, how much money are we talking about? I just can't afford, when I say I, the government, just cannot afford to give these millions to 12% of the population when there are capital works, there's education, there's health, other investment. I just can't do it.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And do you know, and I'll give you just a little analogy. If there's a big reggae festival coming in now, but you have money, but you didn't plan to go to that, but you want to go. Carol, you want to find a way to move money to get the hairdo, to get the shoes, to get the outfit, to participate. And you will go, you will enjoy it, you'll participate, and then you're going to still manage the other issues. There is a way. And I believe that the way will be found. I believe that maybe the way has already even been found, but there's a waiting period. And so I believe it will work. It has to work. There's no turning back. There's no 52 cents and 44 cents.
So you want the full amount?
Yes.
The full amount of the investment or the full accumulated amount?
When we spoke to the judicial manager, what you will get is at the period when they took over judicial manager. So that would be your principal plus whatever interest it was at that period in time. And we're happy with that.
What about those persons who bought policies, but the maturity date is years hence?
Those...
Are you advancing their cause as well?
Yeah. And because my pension was like that. I think my pension was to mature sometime in 2040 something or whatever. What we want for that is a transfer.
Okay.
So, because I really would love to start back paying my pension. I recently took out an RSP, but I would really like to start back paying my pension. Because what we do is, what we're saying is transfer those. Because, Carol, do you know thousands of people are still paying premiums? Every month for the last 4 years? Every month people are still paying.
Where's that money going?
It's going in for British American. They have set up a trust. And from when the judicial manager took over in September 2010, all those premiums have been placed in a trust. For CLICO, those funds are going into the daily operations of the company. So all the staffing and payments to the judicial managers and so on, that money is being used for that. So people, and there's something about us as Barbadians, we are passive and we are patient, and every month premiums are still being paid. So if those policies are still being continued, then a Sagicor or maybe a Guardian Life or another company can say, hey, these are good. We can take these, but of course they're going to need the assets to support that. So this is what they're saying. If there's a sale, the company will want the assets to match those liabilities that they're taking on.
I want to ask you this difficult question. Have there been persons who would have been with you, retired persons who simply because of the passage of time are no longer with us?
We have, I know of 3 persons who've died, and it is sad, and one that was really dear to our heart was Corey Springer. I mean, he was such a joy at meetings, and he would always say, you know, I'm in the departure lounge of life, and when are we going to get our money? You know, and there was always even though he was concerned about his money, there was always a humorous side to him. And this is the thing that I'm hoping that no one else dies in BIPA before we get our money, because I've grown to love these elderly people.
How large is how large is your membership now?
We have 400 and I think it's 25 on membership. And you know, and then people are saying, but the 35,000, why you only have 425? But isn't that always the case? And so many people, wherever you go, June, I'm behind you, I'm supporting you, and I'm a policyholder. So why don't you come and join?
Time.
Yeah, but one of the things I found out too, Carol, from some calls that I've gotten, a lot of people don't want people to know they have money. Some people feel ashamed because of things that have been said that they have money. There's one lady who called me and said, my family don't know that I have money in there, so I'm going to pay the membership fee, but I ain't coming to no meetings because you don't want to be seen. So there's a lot of that, and we're still a very private people. Even though we're suffering privately, we don't want to come out and say. So people say, but you're afraid? My mom, she's I'm praying for you because check when you're driving home at night, somebody will follow you home. I said, but mommy, I'm not afraid. If something happens, then I die, and hopefully somebody else will take on the cause. But I don't think that way. I don't see it. I don't feel it. All I see is it is like a one-track mind, Carol. We must get our money back.
You can't take the politics out of it.
No. This
You
is what
can't,
we
right,
recognize.
right. You can't take the politics out of it. How have you made peace with that in your head?
At first it was hard because it was almost trying to convince people, but you know, this is a political thing. And then one day I said, you know what? I said, I don't care who say what or who thinks what. I know what the truth is. And I'm at peace with what the truth is. My network, my core people know what the truth is. So it doesn't matter what the others think.
But on the other hand, I think do you understand that you also have to be careful that it not become a political, or is it possible to not prevent it from becoming a political yo-yo, where one party says this and then the other party says that?
I think it will, because we've seen, and I think both parties recognize the 12%. I mean, 12% is a large percentage of people. And they will do that themselves. BIPA is not going to get in the middle of them doing their fighting. When we, like 6 months ago, I think it was, about 3 or so months ago, we took a decision that we wanted to meet with both sides because we were hearing Mr. Arthur say, let's have a clique day in Parliament and fix it. That there's a way to fix it. And we thought, well, okay, let's find out what he's talking about. And we heard the Prime Minister says, you're going to get your principal back. You're going to get your principal. I said, well, let's meet with them too. So on the same day, 2 letters went out. I had them hand-delivered.
You like these letters.
By a courier service. Yeah, because one of the things...
Back to Sharon and type in.
And, you know, I was taught by Pamela Tudor, God rest her soul, always have it in writing. She always said, you can't dispute when it is in writing. And, you know, the letters went out inviting them, you know, our team wanted to meet with you, you know, to hear what you have to say for the policyholders. And a week later, we heard from the opposition. Then, I think it was about a month or so later, we heard from the Prime Minister's office to find out, you know, who the team was. And since we said who the team was, we haven't heard anything more about that. So we've decided, no, it doesn't change what we're going to do. We're going to still continue to focus on what is it that we can do, get the information. And the more we get information, it helps us to frame the court case. Because what we are thinking is, the judicial manager has presented a report to say you're only going to get 52 cents. The assets are sold and policies are transferred, you're only going to get 52 cents in the dollar. Somebody else has to pay the 48 cents.
But someone is going to say, but take the 52 cents and go along now. At least you're getting something. And what would your response to that be? 1
Samuel chapter 30, verse 8.
Enlighten me, because I don't know what that is.
Pursue them and recover all. Pursue them and recover all.
In other jurisdictions, there have been calls for criminal cases and prison sentences and stuff. Will that satisfy you? Or you're just not about that?
I believe that there's a grave injustice, and if it is proven that there was malfeasance or there was fraud, then I believe that justice should take its course. If in all that we do we recognize there is mismanagement, then I believe that somebody should pay for that. Because when you look at the assets that were purchased and with the funds, there was no securing of the policyholders' funds. When you look at how the money was spent, when you see all the reports, Carol, it is amazing. There was so much money that these guys just Blew it. It's amazing. It's like putting a bull in a china shop.
Have you thought of an ending? But in terms of this, how much longer will I continue to rally my troops and agitate and activate for a solution to this?
I really hope that we're not here at the end of 2013. I really would like to see a resolution before the end of 2013. Some of the people are getting, they're starting to lose it.
The momentum.
Yes, so especially some of the elderly people. They you know, having to come out to meetings, and a lot of them can't see to drive at night, so they have to get help and support. And some people are saying, I'm done with this. I'm going to stop paying my... People call me, Ms. Fowler, should I still pay my premiums? I say, keep paying. I say, what type of policy is it? And secure your documents. Make sure you have your documents. And people are at a point where they say, you know, I can't take this anymore because I don't know where my money is going. So I'm going to cut my losses, go and start a new policy somewhere else, and continue. And some people have done that because they cannot take the stress and the anxiety, especially those people who are awaiting, like, some people have to maybe go overseas to get medical attention, and they don't have the funds to do it. A guy told me his kids had to pool money together to help send him overseas for surgery. But yet, so he has, I think it was $400,000 in CLICO that has matured. So that is the pain that you feel for others. So I would like, by the end of 2013, that this is a memory.
I'm going to ask you a question for which I do not want the answer that you just gave me. I'm going to give you one wish. One wish, June, for 2013. What would that one wish be? You can wish for anything.
Anything?
Not the obvious one. We just heard that.
Yeah. One wish?
What would that one wish be?
That I get to travel to China. Okay.
Why China?
I think it's a far-off land that I have this dream about going to visit. I want to see it. I want to not just see it on television, but to experience it. And it's a place that I actually had an opportunity 2 years ago, and when I saw the travel time, I chickened out and I didn't bother to go. And actually somebody else was paying for it, and I should have taken it then. But I really would like to see China. If I had that wish to see it in 2013, I would love to see it.
I hope for you that both of your wishes, the one stated obviously and the one more understated, I wish that both of your wishes come true, and I thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you too for having me, Carol.